My car is by no means a showroom model. It's almost 10 years old. It hasn't been very well looked after. I bought it just as a cheap old banger to get me to work. Anyway, a scratch has appeared on my bonnet and I want to try and improve the look of that. And it just so happens that G3 sent me some products. So today I'm going to be testing G3 Professional Cut and Wax. Now, if you're new to this kind of product, don't be afraid of the cut part of it. Cut is talking about how much abrasives it has in it. You know, if it has cut, it has some abrasive. There are others which are just known as a polish, where there is an abrasive, but it'll be super fine, and it's just to refine the paint and get as much gloss out of it as possible. So I'm hoping that this is going to help cut some of the paint and improve the look of the scratch. Now, I really hope you can see the scratch on camera. I'm going to bring you in as close as I can and we'll see if we can spot it. Now, what this states is that it's a restore and finish product. It removes holograms, swirls, minor defects and leaves a high shine finish. Now, many people would buy this instead of some other all-in-one products. All-in-ones have some cut, some filling and some wax to protect the whatever fills. This doesn't have any dedicated fillers. Instead, it relies on the wax, or at least that's what they told me at Waxstock. So it doesn't have any dedicated fillers at all. That gives me a little bit more hope that it might cut a bit more aggressively. So I'm going to be using this with one of their own white restore pads to attack it, because it's a firmer polishing pad, so we can really get some cut into the paint. So I'm going to take you across now. We'll see if we can spot that scratch on the paint. I've masked it off already, and then after working this we can have a look at the difference, not only to see if it's cut the paint and help to level it and reduce the visibility of the scratch, but also to find out how much that's done and how much the wax is filling. We're going to try and pull the wax out of the paint and see how that works as well. Alright, I'm going to bring you in as close as I can. So the scratch is here. Where are my fingers? There it is. You should be able to see that. I can see that now. So there's a scratch here and it's going round in a bit of a loop, and it comes down here and down here. There's some scratching there. So it's not really bad. Let me see if I can get in closer and we'll get a better view. Try not to. Is it there? Right there. Let's get close. There it is. That's the scratch that I want to try and remove or improve. Now, I can't get my fingernail into it. I can't barely feel it. So that's good. That means that it's a surface level scratch. It hasn't gone deep into the paint, and hopefully a light cut should improve the look of this, and it's going to cut through the rest of the paint and bring it down to the deepest level of that scratch, and hopefully that scratch disappears. But we'll also find out how much the wax does as a filler. So let's grab the tools I need now. So like I said, I'm going to be using one of these. This is one of their Restore waffle pads, and it's relatively firm. It's not super soft, so hopefully this is going to help. Because it's firm, it's going to help work the abrasives onto the paint there and try and do as much cutting as we possibly can. So let's give this a good shake, and let's plop some of this. There you go. I hope you can see that there. So let's dab it around, spread it around a bit, and I'm actually going to try and also improve the look of this paint. Find out, I haven't really polished this paint. I've only washed it and clayed it, decontaminated it, but I haven't done anything else. So it'll be interesting to find out if there's a square of improved paint here as well. So let's let's use a bit more, since I'm not just attacking the scratch on its own, and we'll see how we go. Alright, the weird thing is, that felt like it had cut. Having experience with a few polishes over the years, they don't feel like that. I have never used an all-in-one polish which has felt like that. That definitely felt, what's the best word for it? Almost gritty. It just felt like there was some bite. And I don't think it was all just down to the polishing pad. It just felt like it had more bite into the paint. Really, really interesting. Now let's just grab a clean towel and we're going to buff this off. We'll let it dry a little bit because it does have wax in it. So we'll let it dry for a few more seconds and then we'll wipe it off and have a look at the result. Okay, I can still see the scratch pretty clearly, to be honest. So it hasn't removed the scratch, and I would have to have a look back at the earlier footage to find out if it did anything. But honestly, I can't see any difference in that at all. The rest of the paint does look nice and shiny and glossy. Let's take the tape off and have a look and see if there's an improvement over that. I may have been asking too much for it, so I just may be, you know, getting my hopes up a bit too high. But let's have a look and see how it behaved. It does look like there's a difference. I can still see the square. I've removed all the tape marks, the tape lines. Let's just go over them again, just to make sure I haven't left anything there. And I can still see the square. So there is a difference. It certainly has done something. Whether it's that the paint has been cut a little bit and refined a bit and cleaned a bit, or if it's the wax is doing filling, but we can test that with an isopropyl alcohol mix. For those interested, this is a mixture of 25% isopropyl alcohol, so it's 1 part 99.9% isopropyl to 3 parts distilled water. So now that square is still slightly visible, but not anywhere near as much as before. I think most of the improvement came from the wax filler. That's the main line that I see there from when it was caught against the tape. And now I don't see the tape lines at all. It's gone. All right, this time we're gonna go at it with a machine polisher. So I've got my machine polisher here. This is with a mild to medium cut pad. So we'll add some of this cut and wax onto here. All right. Let's give this a try. Pop that bottle down. Right. Oh, sorry. I'm just pulling the cord over my shoulder. And the scratch is right here. So let's just dab this out around this area and give it a spread. And then turn it up to about speed 4. Alright, let's buff this off and have a closer look. Okay, I do see an improvement there in the scratch. It does look like there is less scratch available, or less scratch visible. So yes, it is much harder to see the scratch. Before, I could still see the scratch pretty clearly, and the panel was just darker thanks to the wax. But I can definitely see a difference. I'm going to bring you in closer so you can see this yourself. Or at least I hope you can see this yourself. Alright, let's find it again right here. Let's get over there and in there. It's there, but it's not anywhere near as visible as it was before. Sorry, I'm trying to keep track of where my finger's going and where the camera's going. It's coming down here, but there's a lot less visible scratch there. Right there. Come on, camera, there you go, right. Oh, I think I'm out of the focus range. It's right down there, and it's a lot less visible. So let's go over that one more time with the machine polisher, see if we can work that again, and then we'll go over it with the IPA again and see if the scratch comes back or if it has actually been cut out. Alright, let's give this another go. Alright, second test. Let's buff this off. I don't think I'm going to get any more out of it. I think I've got the most that this cut and wax can do. It's still there. It is less visible than originally, but I don't think it's any less visible than that last pass. Let's get that isopropyl alcohol again. Just find out if there's any cut at all going on, or if it is just simply masking it. Right. I think it has actually cut. Looking at that scratch now, it's much less visible. I think by hand, the best you're going to get is maybe the oxidation removal. A scratch like this might just be a bit too much for it to handle by hand. However, using it with a machine polisher and a medium polishing pad, I can definitely see that that scratch has improved, and I've taken the wax off. The isopropyl alcohol has removed the wax. Let's give that another go just in case we've missed any. We'll go specifically on the scratch. Let that sit for a minute, and that's going to break down any of the waxes contained in there. Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to find the scratch again. So before it was very, very easily visible, and now I have to move my head around and look for it. It's still there, but it is much less visible. Let me get this camera off here again and bring you back in. Alright, let's go. Where are you? I have to find it. Right there. It's there, but it's not nearly as visible as it was originally. So there has been some cutting going on, and now I've left a fingerprint. But the fingerprint is right where the scratch is. So isn't that handy? There you go. So that's the scratch right there. And oh, we've lost focus. Come on, there you go. The scratch is there, but it's not anywhere near as visible as it was when we first had a look at the car. So what's the verdict on cut and wax? Well, I think it works well. I think if you Give it enough time and work it for long enough with decent amount of pressure, perhaps a bit harder and a bit longer than I worked it for by hand, you should still see good results. It will improve the look of your paint. It does say that it is designed to remove scratches and scuffs and improve the surface condition. And it did that. It worked even better using the machine polisher. If you have a machine polisher and you've had some experience using products like this, it does work very well. It has a decent amount of working time, and it just worked the product a bit longer and a bit harder and a bit more intensively than I did it by hand. But it certainly, you did see when I first removed the masking tape, that square was darker, it was shinier, it was glossier, it had some depth. And that was most likely all the fillers, because when we worked over that with the IPA, most of that came out and the square was lost. So the fillers are doing a lot to improve the look of the car there. But if you work it for long enough, you will make sure that those abrasives are working. It does say that the abrasive technology, the particles are used, they are designed to break down and reduce in size as you remove scratches. So it's a diminishing abrasive. So perhaps I left it for too long. No, perhaps I worked it and didn't work it long enough. That's what I meant to say. Perhaps I didn't work it long enough to give it a proper go. So keep that in mind if you're going to be trying this out. Thank you very much to Forekla G3 guys for sending this to me. I do like it. I think I would use it more often with my machine polisher, simply because I'm enjoying using my machine polisher more and more now. But it's certainly not a bad product to use by hand. You'll still get some decent results. Just keep in mind, you maybe need to work it a bit harder if you're going to be using it by hand, or at least harder than I did. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please go ahead, give it a like. Also consider subscribing to the channel. In the meantime, I have been Specky. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.